All right, what's up, Investor Central? Let's get into it. Got a couple of charts that are actually quite blank right now, and I just wanted to go through a little bit of, housekeeping in terms of getting it all charted out. So in terms of SPY, I'm actually here on the weekly. And if you just pull all the way out, there's a very interesting trend line that I've been seeing people draw. You obviously have this lower one. Okay, we're nowhere close to that. There's some people saying we should crash down toward that value. That seems a little bit rough. I don't know about that. Now, on the other hand, though, there is this one. What I want to point out here is a little bit depending on where you have it exactly. Because here you see how it respects a few of these points. But yeah, I gotta adjust the back here. So I was seeing someone draw it similar to this, showing that we're rejecting off the top of that part of the trend, right? So there is this channel. Now, that got me thinking. You could take this all the way down. Okay. Now, the reason I wanted to do a bigger SPY situation here, we're back on the weekly. Let's go actually here and pull out to the monthly. And I just wanted to point this out here. Right now in the recent ICA class, we're talking about Elliott wave. I don't know if you see what I see, but we've got consolidation or sell-off one, right? We've actually got a really fast one right here. Okay. So wouldn't that make this a 1, 2, we call this expanding triangle. We'll talk about that, 3, 4, 5. So if that's the case, now we'll double check too if this entire thing is a full 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And then the ABC is supposed to happen. There is an ABC that's happened so far, and it's just done 1, 2, 3. You could say, okay, well, back toward this is actually where I find where our gravity is. You still might, we'll have to see if we really, respect this trend line again, this top green one. But I feel the ABC very likely could be something more like this. It just needs to take more time to play out. So, we have rallied quite a bit. So do we have more to go? Are people already flipping bullish right now, right? Okay. In this situation, this one's easy to see, A, B, C for that flat retracement. On the top one, what you have is you have this triangle, A, B, C, D, E, and expanding, right? Okay. Now, with that being said, let's go into weekly from our wave 5, right? We'll take a look at that. Do we see 5 waves up? Or here's a possibility. We could. So we've got 1, 2. Is that 3, 4, 5? we're done? Or is this some big picture 3, 4, 5? There are some people saying we're supposed to make new all-time highs. And that would move this 5 point further. Just saying. Okay. So let's also go into the analysis of what's going on in here. So keep in mind, those are possibilities, right? Elliott wave theory is a theory. It's not always going to be perfect, but we'll take what we can with it, because the patterns that exist within, you know, human nature and within nature, we're trying to look at those probabilities. Okay, so I forgot to do this real quick. Let's do our Elliott wave. Let's see. Let's do our retracement. So we're going to go down here from where the lows were in March of 2020. That low to the high. There we go. Cool. And with that, we did bounce off some pretty interesting spots. Okay. Within this retracement, we have a big ABC. Okay. What I see in here. The zigzags of ABC, it's usually three different waves, right? ABC, ABC, ABC. Okay, so that's finished. That could be a single move. Okay. So there we go. Now this one's gotten A, B, C so far. So what do I predict? Now where we're at, I do want to point out, look at this. Look at our daily stochastic. Let me also pull up my RSI. Okay. Daily RSI isn't necessarily showing as much that it's, you know, reversing. But the stochastic's gotten extremely high, which is what I've been looking at. We're at 93, 94. And every time we've come up this high, we do revert, at least back to, you know, back into comfortable ranges. So we've had this move up so quickly. A lot of people were calling that it was a short squeeze. And if I got rid of these ABCs real quick. What I also was showing is that if we took these patterns, okay, so I was trying to point out that this pattern is eerily similar to this pattern. So where we're at, we could still go a little bit higher, but we are going to smack straight into this bigger shelf of resistance, right? back where the neckline is. So what I think here, we very likely are going to have some sort of A, B, C down a little bit, also because, let's go closer. There's a small hint of a Elliott wave. So if you say that this is an Elliott wave down, then you just had an ABC retracement, right? However, right, back to the 4. However, that could still be a bigger situation. That's still possible, okay? And we could still head down from there. What else? Within here too. 1, 2. I wanted to call that 3, 4, but 4 would come back below 1. So the thing there would be, do we maybe still have more room to go? Come back, squeeze above. Squeeze above the shelf. If we can get above 417, we probably could continue, right? Just you know, you don't smack up into, you end up involving all these buyers and sellers, so be careful there. But if that gets squeezed and squeezes these people out, could go up. Yeah, that would be an ABC retracement. If this move is done, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But the problem is that 4 came back and broke 1. So not a full Elliott wave. All right. Important things to keep an eye on. I really want you guys to be watching the VIX. So we're at a very, very important part, which is just we've been in this uptrend. However, we've started to potentially break it, right? We tested it, but we also on the top side are testing this slope. So within the next couple of days, we should see some sort of, okay, what will happen? The markets end up wanting to rally. We'll break out of this and retest and head back down toward these other values. But if we have some reason to be fearful, you can see how, let me give you these previous situations. Notice that when it does break, it usually breaks and jumps, right? Do you guys notice that? So breaks, when it breaks, it jumps. If it does retest, oof, that's crazy, okay? You could also argue about this one came down, there's a line there, so it would break. That would be the break. This would be the break. Often a retest, right? Break. So if we have a break here, what do you think, right? Probably something like that if we have another break while respecting this uptrend. Okay, if we continue to respect this, you see how many times already? Now, if we break down though, we'll retest these levels. And that'll give us an idea, right? Because these coincide with the tops of the market. These coincide with the new bottoms, keep in mind. Okay. Dollar index. It did pop a little bit higher when it came back down to the resistance. So still in this uptrend. We are, though, another thing. We did technically break this downtrend just a little bit. So that should be something to keep an eye on. Now we're above these levels and we're staying, it faked that out, went back above. So the dollar going up higher. Unfortunately, the reason for it has a lot to do with other currencies now struggling, okay? Let's go to the next one. Crude oil. Testing, right? You see that. This isn't exactly a head and shoulders because we got this on the left. So it continues. Here's the thing, it's already broken resistance. Right, so does it continue to fall further, or does it spend some time in this low range? And go back. Does it head back up? Right, this one's very dependent upon supply and demand. QQQ. Well, wouldn't you look at how our strat from before played out? You probably could have played it, if you're looking just on the daily, yeah, obviously. Let's see what would have happened with those plays on it. We'll use regular hours. Okay. So you could have played down on this one. You probably wouldn't. I didn't put a good target. I just kind of drew these. I remember target would be the full move. For that would have been the daily, and these would have been the weekly. So the daily target wouldn't have hit. Right? This one would have reverted. And the daily candle here, this one played out perfectly on this top side. Q popped up, you tested, you would want to get in there and then write it up. Okay. Okay, cool. Let's do that with this then. So let's clear that off. We'll do these guys off. Before I do that, if you notice, there's some certain lines that were very well respected. So we're going to draw those and keep those here. That yellow line for sure. We'll use this one here. Yeah, it would have been the bottom. This is the day that I charted. Okay, all right. Let's move into. Let's go into the weekly and then the daily. And we're going to take a look at this here. Weekly, what are the plays in terms of what the strat says here? Strat says there's a target for up there. That level, okay. Strat also says breaking down below. You aim for this target. We go in closer. This is the daily. I'll have to find a better stop loss for that. We have a lot of targets down here for the daily. That's what the weekly we're aiming for. And our first small target would be bottom of those. Top target. What the week would have been. Let's do that. Okay, where would you put your stop loss? I would have it breaking into one of these previous candles, right? That resistance. What would you say you would have the most support of other buyers or sellers? This candle work of go into meta. So something to consider. Even though it already has played out a little bit, notice how all of these are really diverging. Right. So let's get the weekly. Yep, same thing. Let's see if my prediction did play out just, no, not just yet. It bounced all the way up. Nice. Okay. So that went, if it did break out of this. Now what we'll do here. Down 1, 2, smaller. Four-hour chart. Well, Meta met some fierce selling up here right before, with earnings. And then it's staying down here. We got some of a pop, but will it hold? Let's really quickly review. All right, profit margin went down. Oh yeah, the reaction had a lot to do with Snapchat. That's what it was. Okay. Snapchat was showing how it was struggling to compete with TikTok, apparently. Now let's take a look here. I'm looking on the daily. Short position would be breaking out of that. Oop, that's the long. Let's put that here. Break above, aim toward previous candle. Break below, aim toward previous candle high. Let's go down the hourly. Let's see. Here, you could make the stop loss a little bit lower, but I don't really love that because you see how bad that risk to reward would be to stay in the trade. Otherwise, maybe breaking down below the previous candle, but I don't necessarily see this as the best risk to reward playing just to that. If we look at that, that's a 1.4, right? Not the best. However, this is saying break down below here. We do have, though, on the daily, or on the hourly, sorry, breaking down below this gives you this entire range to aim for. And there's a gap down here too. Then set your stop loss for above the previous candle. That's a 4.2. So that might not be a bad approach for that. Let's double check real quick. Let's do strat assistant, sorry. The thing though is everything is showing that it's headed up right now. So that downward move, unlikely, but breaking down below could be a move to take. Otherwise, breaking up, that would just mean if you continue to be bullish, look at that big gap too. Maybe we'll go back, we'll fill that gap. First target would be there. That would improve that much more. 5. Not bad. Okay. So aiming for 175 or so. Yeah. Maybe pulling it a little short. And then if you think it'll fill the gap, that could be another play as well. A lot of gaps lately. Okay. Let's get NVIDIA. Got a lot of bullish continuation. Also, my prediction came down, went further down than I expected, but that's fine. Came back up. We'll see where it stops at. I was trying to match that up, but it wasn't actually the right ratios, which again make that completely useless. Okay. So we tested that, went higher. Yep. Okay. So again, if we break above this, we're going to go and probably test up here. Yeah, that's possible. But I still want to be careful because I feel like there's a lot of things brewing and I don't feel, are we making all new all-time highs with this rally, you guys? I don't feel like there's, is this headed all the way back up? I don't feel like it's, I feel like it's more of a crappy situation. Because we still have some big money puts being taken out for later. So the rally here, yeah, it's unexpected. I feel that there was a lot of people that were bullish. Now it's pushed, or sorry, they were bearish, too bearish. So markets kind of just finding some relaxation back here, headed back up, get more people to think, that this is or was the bottom before reverting back down. This rally here, right? 33%. Okay, I've got QQQ at the bottom. Right, 20%. Okay. Here's what I want to do though. Let's go back into this. We're going to use SPY. We're going to just drop this number down so we can compare. SPY right now, we've done a 15% rally, right? And we also here have had, you can call this about 11 to 12, or if you want to call it from the very bottom, it's about 12 to 13. Okay, so 12 to 13 here. And this bottom one, we're at about 15. Okay, so let's go back to previous bear markets. Okay, where would those bear markets be? We've already charted them, guys. We put them here with SPY. They're going to be the bigger corrections that we've had. Okay, so you could look into, like, these are too small, right? This is all within technically a wave 5. Let's go look back here at this, right? The March drop. I'm going to measure these two rallies here to here. Yeah, that's about 10%. Then you have the bottom here, closed at the bottom, but then opened next month up there, right? Do you see that? Another 10% back. Okay. What else? Let's look at this one. Right, what we're looking for here are the rallies, but do we make another lower bottom? Okay, this one took much more time. This was in 2018. Let's look at this. This started to look more like a potential crash, right? This went 20 bear market, barely was a bear market, right? 8% rally, 7%. Okay, well, let's go further back. Actually, what I need to do here is I'm going to use SPX. I'm going to use the weekly just to, because SPX has been tracked for longer. I need to go back quite a bit. Okay, so here, financial crash, right? Financial. What I've got here, financial crash, bottom to here, you got a 13% rally. Okay. You got a 9% rally. You also, well, that was the top, right? 7% rally, 10% rally. Okay, let's go back to 2000. All right, 2000. Look at that. Okay. Percent. 22, 23%. Okay. How about up here? 9 or 10% before a big crash. Okay, so what if I did this? What if I took this pattern? Okay, I just copied it. What we're just going to do is we're going to take it. We're going to drop it right. We're going to see if there's any similarities. And what we can do with this is we can stretch it out, right? So compare it to the top. Nope. So we still might have a little more to go, but similar to this. So if you're looking at this, we've got right, and that creates a floor, which you kind of poke into. So if we don't really break up, it's very likely and very possible that we're going to be met with some real rejection right there. The retestable ones. Okay. At least that's what this would give us. Okay. What else? Well, 2000 is not what we're going through. Well, then what is it? Let's go back to go back here. We have right. So right, bear market, okay. It doesn't get called one until it hits this, okay? But keep in mind, and it's kind of like that alpha trends chart that I keep showing you guys. Two shelves, you always peak up before you head further down, okay? Let's say a shelf and a shelf here. Shelf, shelf. Peak up. Okay. So also makes it where, you know, if we look at what we're going through right now, right? When you come back to some of these, doesn't it look similar? Okay, this is Y2K. This part's ugly. So with this, does it have the same shape? Does it have that similar pattern? Yeah, I was also saying how we have peak up above. So peak up above before we head back down. At least that's what I think is going to happen. On the bullish side of things, though, if I were to say bullish, we have something like this. But we got to break that before I would say so. Okay. This yellow line very likely could be just right there. So just that. All right. I didn't have anybody really send me any charts that they wanted me to go over in particular. So, you know, in terms of these, you guys can let me know what else you want me to post. It might take a moment for these to render. I still have the class from earlier still converting. So bear with me. I'll get this up as quickly as I can so you guys can get this information before Thursday. All right. We will chat again soon, you guys. I'll be aiming to do a session on probably Friday night to help you guys out getting ready for next week. But if there's any other charts you want me to chart or show you if I see any divergences, etc., let me know. I'm happy to go through them. You know, things like Apple, etc. A lot of stuff is starting to get fairly overextended, so just be aware they're very high up there in terms of the stochastics, how quickly we've moved up. And just be aware a lot of them have this very similar look in terms of how quickly they rose, very similar to previous rallies that we've had. And those rallies would test 1 or 2 times before we head further down. So just be careful with them. Tesla, yeah, I thought it was going to turn around earlier than this, but it keeps going up. Great, great for them. Microsoft. All right. Nothing in the RSIs are necessarily showing that we can't go higher. So I want you guys to be careful with that, okay? But in terms of the price movement, in terms of overextension on something like the stochastics, those are starting to show that we're hitting prices where there's less buyers and potentially turning down for at least a little bit for relief. So keep an eye out for that, you guys. Okay. All right. I will chat with you guys again later. You guys have a great rest of your night.